Here's what to watch in preseason week 3, next on Fantasy Football Today in 5. Welcome to Fantasy Football Today in 5. I'm Chris Towers. I'm here with Adam Azer. And before we talk about preseason week 3, we do have a couple of injuries that you need to know about. Jerry Jeudy left practice on Thursday with a hamstring injury. He has been diagnosed with a moderate hamstring strain, which is one of those super vague, not really helpful designations, but it does sound like week 1 is at least in doubt for him. The same is also true for Terry McLaurin with that toe injury. Neither has been ruled out, but it looks like they're kind of up in the air with a couple of weeks left for the start of the season. Adam, you took Jerry Jeudy, I think, in the 5th round of a mock draft we did today, right? How are you feeling about that one?
Last pick of the 6th round. It was a bench player for me. So I thought, look, I could have taken a starting tight end there, but Darren Waller had just come off the board. I could have taken Hawkinson. I could have taken Pitts, and that would have been a smart pick. Would have been fine. I decided to go with Jerry Jeudy there. Last pick, so 60th overall in round 5. And I don't think he's going to play week 1, and he's got a history of injuries. So I'm prepared for him to miss 3-4 games, something like that. But I had the 12th pick. I would have taken him 36th overall. So I would have taken him at the 3-4 turn. So for me to get him at the 5-6 turn with the injury, I'm okay with it. Now, if this had been a 3-receiver league and that had been a player that I actually needed to start instead of just stash, maybe I would have tried to wait a little bit, but I don't think he would have gotten to me in the next round. So people made fun of me when I made that pick. So I get the sense that he's going to fall even farther than that.
This is the thing about drafts, though. Like when we do these like public drafts and we're talking about them, and people are always like, well, your starting lineup doesn't look great. And it's like, for week 1, maybe. Yeah, right, but exactly. You have to keep in mind that you're not just drafting for week 1. And that's something that I have to remind myself constantly. Is like, oh, my lineup doesn't look that good. Well, yeah, I drafted Alvin Kamara. I knew he wasn't going to be available for 3 weeks. I'm hoping that I can make up for it. That's the thing you have to remember when you're downgrading Jerry Jeudy, when you're downgrading Terry McLaurin is, yes, they may not be there at the start of the season. That's not the only thing that matters. So keep that in mind. And now let's talk about preseason week 3. And this is a tough one to talk about because a lot of teams aren't going to play their starters. Some teams will play their starters, for a couple of drives or a quarter. And we don't exactly know who's going to be out there. So the one thing I want to keep an eye on is just these training camp and preseason risers like Tank Dell and Deuce Vaughn, a couple of rookies who have gone from really kind of non-factors for fantasy to guys that I'm pretty excited about drafting in the later rounds. I want to make sure that their ascendance continues. Deuce Vaughn, we still haven't really seen him with the Cowboys starters or even the second team. He's been playing a lot in the second half of games, getting a lot of buzz, but I'd like to see him get some time with whoever the starters are this week. And Tank Dell didn't play last week. Sounds like he's okay. Want to see him, with Robert Woods and Noah Brown and the presumed starters to see where he fits in. Adam, what else are you watching this week?
I am watching the Bills and the Chiefs, which is never a bad thing if you're into football. The Chiefs are going to play their starters again for some reason. I think they are. It's a little unclear as we sit here on Thursday, mid-afternoon, early evening. But I want to see Sky Moore because I really didn't like what I saw. It's just they mixed so many guys in. Moore played 12, I think 20 snaps with Patrick Mahomes. And yeah, he was one of the most targeted receivers. I think none of them. He was one of the most, he ran among the most routes among receivers, but it wasn't enough to separate him from the pack. So I want to see if there's really a Chiefs receiver worth taking in the top 100. And for the Bills, I want to see Kincaid keep getting it done with the first team. And I want to see James Cook continue to dominate snaps because Cook has been one of the biggest draft risers. I think it's warranted. It doesn't seem like they're going committee as much this year. So that could just really solidify him as maybe as early as a 5th round pick, top 60 pick. He was another guy that was there when I took Jerry Jeudy that I was considering. I don't think he should go much further than 65th or so, James Cook, but so far so good in the preseason.
Yeah, I have moved James Cook. I was pretty skeptical of the hype around him, but I've moved him up inside my top 50 in my rankings. He's like wide receiver 21. It does look like they're going to give him a chance. Damian Harris has been hurt and hasn't really been particularly inspiring from what I've read about camp. Latavius Murray, he's a journeyman. We know what he is. So it does seem like they're going to give James Cook a legitimate chance to be like a 65 to 70% snap share guy. One other thing I want to keep an eye on, I don't know if New England's going to play their starters. I wouldn't mind if they did, just because it would be nice to get a hint of what the plan is for Ezekiel Elliott and Ramondre Stevenson. There's been some reports in training camp that Elliott's been, working in the passing game, especially, that would be really concerning for Ramondre Stevenson. And then obviously, if he's a goal line factor as well, both of those things would make it very tough for Ramondre Stevenson to be certainly an RB2, but, especially an RB1. So wouldn't mind if the Patriots gave us at least a glimpse of the backfield rotation there, but that's going to be one of the things I'll be watching out for in the box scores and, when I'm watching highlights and stuff from preseason week 3. And that's going to do it for FFT and 5. We'll see you tomorrow.